So our neighbor Don gave us some more siding he was able to do on his mill. We are going to put it up. I think with this siding we probably only need like 5 or 6 more pieces. So we're almost done with this loafing shed. The cap for this well is pretty jank and not going to hold anybody's weight. It's pretty tall, but from what we hear, the snow might get high enough to where kids can walk on here, and we don't want them falling through. So we're going to replace this. Not sure what we're going to do yet, but we're going to use that wood. A little murky down there. So we decided we're just gonna do a little frame, and then we're gonna slot planks on there. I think that'll be the sturdiest option. Alright, well, it ain't the prettiest thing in the world, but it'll do its job. It's sturdy. Kids can tap dance on it if they want. Nobody's falling in that well.
So I've been really thinking about what kind of business we want to make out of this property, and a big portion of it I'd like to do cut flowers if I can. We've got the dahlias started this year, and I'll be digging up the tubers probably in the next week. Next week's supposed to be nice, but then I think our frost is coming. So I'll get them dug up and divided and stored for the winter time. But another thing is planting peonies, and so I actually was able to find some peonies up in Norwich this morning, and so I went and picked up 9. I don't know if they're tubers, but roots. And then we actually have a really beautiful peony on the side of the house, and so I actually went and dug up some of those, and I was able to divide off 7 sections. So we're gonna get those planted today. Long term, that's what I'd like to use for our cut flowers. They usually, I think, produce in about 3 to 5 years. I guess we'll see how it goes. Some people will cut every year no matter what. So I guess we'll just see how they bloom this next year, but we're gonna get those. What are you doing? Come here. We're gonna get those planted up today. Fall is the best time to plant peonies, so they have a good root system before winter time. So anyways, the other things that we want to do with this, oops, kitty. The other things we want to do with this business is, like, I'd like to start doing cut flower subscriptions. I think this next year we'll just kind of do like a trial and see how it goes. Start with a few subscriptions and kind of explain that it's my first year, and see see how the flowers bloom. We're setting up new raised beds and gonna try to rototill some rows for the summer annuals. But then we'd also like to do, we'll sell pork and we'll sell like chickens and eventually beef. So anyways, this is what we're working on today since the weather's nice. So these are the peony roots I went and dug up and just split them off into sections. You can see the eyes here. So they have a few good eyes per bunch. This one has a lot of them. I think I could probably divide this into two, but this section doesn't have a very good root system, so we're just gonna keep it together this year. But anyways, these are, I got seven root bunches off of it, and then these ones are the ones I bought. And so I think I ended up with reds and pinks, but they have quite a few eyes on them and they look healthy. So my goal is to get some white ones. So I have red, white, and pink. One of these is Dutel, and it's a Japanese variety of peony, and so it's kind of got like a weird fringy middle. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like in the spring. So kind of same thing with the dahlias. When I planted the dahlia tubers up, I just lay them out on the surface. Same thing with the garlic, just so I can see where they're gonna sit. So these are all laid out on the ground. I just put the bags in front of them because I'm gonna take my phone and actually take a video of where I place them. There's really no point putting stakes out here because my kids will rip them up. So if I take a video, then at least I can go back and look at it and see which one I planted in which row. When you plant peonies, you want the eyes to be only about 1 to 2 inches below the surface of the soil, or the surface of the ground, because otherwise they won't put out flowers. So they'll put out lots of leaves, but there won't be any flowers. So anyways, we're gonna get those dug. All right, so we've got nice weather. Ouch. We've got nice weather for a couple days, and so I've been working on these dahlia beds back here. Got them all cut down, got the dahlias dug up. Some of them are looking okay, some are not so great, but it's our first year. We'll see how we can do next year. Are you stuck? What's happening? I've got the kids helping, which is going really well. Is your shovel stuck? Do you want help? Alright, this bed is the one I planted first, and so I'm hoping the tubers will be bigger, but I'm a little concerned with the soil. It was, it just kind of turns into clay when it gets wet, and so I'm worried that the tubers didn't form very well, but we'll see how it goes. We're gonna cut them down first. And so, if you can see here, all that's left is just a stalk, and then last week I had gone through and marked all these of what they were. So they're all tagged, and we're gonna just dig up each of these clumps. What's wrong, buddy? Hi.
Look at him.
I know.
I want to do it. What are you doing?
He wants to be in the middle of all of it. So, as you can see, this is one stalk. This is Snow Hodoris. And so it's got like the mother tuber, which is the original one I planted, and you can kind of tell because they get woody and they are kind of a darker brown, and plus they have like this massive clump of roots at the end. Not very many tubers, which stinks, but I think we'll still be able to save quite a few. I'm going to spray these down with the hose in a little bit, and then you can really see what eyes are on here to see what will be good for next year to save. So yeah, we're just going to get all these dug up, and then we'll get them sprayed down, and then this afternoon we'll get them cut apart. So. There we go. Those are most of them. Not all of them. I have a crate in the house that's got some tubers in it, but we're gonna get these washed up. So like I was saying earlier, now that I've washed it up a bit, I don't know if you can see this, I'll turn it into the sun. You can kind of see the mother tuber, these dark ones. So this one has 2 actually, and then these right here are the new tubers. They're a lot lighter colored. So those mother tubers we'll actually cut off and throw away or compost, and then the new tubers are what we're gonna look for the eyes on and cut off for next year. All the dahlias are washed up, and so they've dried off quite a bit, but you can see, like I said earlier, the mother tuber and then the new ones. I accidentally cut through this one. It's okay if you cut some of the end off, they're usually okay. So what we're first gonna do is, this is one of the dahlias I didn't either didn't bloom or I didn't recognize what it was, and so it's not actually marked. So I'm gonna actually chop the top off of it. I'm gonna go through and snip all the root ends off. All these little roots aren't necessary. This isn't really a tuber, so we'll cut it off. So I'll just clip all this stuff off just to clean it up so they're not so messy. But what we're gonna actually go through and do is we're going to remove the mother tuber and cut that off. And then what we're gonna do is go through and see if we can find any eyes. So when you dig these up in the fall, they're actually easier to see the eyes on than if you store the whole clump through the winter and then try to split these in the spring. So if you can see here, there's this is the neck of the tuber. So the neck, and then this is the crown up here. I don't know if that's focusing, but there's a little eye there. It's just a little growth point. There's some eyes on this side that you can kind of see. And so we're just gonna cut it where those eyes are still connected to the tuber. And so I think I'm just gonna cut here and then I'm gonna cut behind that eye there, and then kind of just work it off. So then you just have your tuber, you have the neck, the crown is attached, and then we have this little growth point. There's another little eye here. So those are the spots where the tuber will grow from next year. And so we'll save this one, and then kind of just gonna look at these other two. There's some eyes on it. So this one I cut off the end. It should be fine. It'll just callus over, kind of like potatoes do. They should be fine. I think I'm gonna actually store these in peat moss. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. We live in a different climate now, and last year I stored in peat moss and they did great. I thought about doing wood shavings, but I'm afraid they'll dry out too much. So I think we'll try peat moss, just layer them in so that they're not touching each other, and then store them down in the basement. And just keep an eye on the temperature down in our basement that it doesn't freeze. But as long as these get stored between like 32 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit, they should be fine. So we've got 2 tubers, and then this one's kind of a mess. Sometimes they're hard to tell. Sometimes you just have tubers that aren't, like they either don't have eyes on them or they're just not gonna do anything. So let's clean this up just so we can see a little better. Like I see an eye. I think I'll just hang on to it and see if it does anything. So we're just gonna snip the end off because it was broken. So we have 3 tubers from that. This is marked, this old mother tuber, and so I might actually wash it again and see if I can figure out what it says on it so I can identify them. But there's those. So 1 tuber we planted, came up with 3 for this year.
Dad, Mom.